What's up, Havelock? We are back for another podcast. Today, we are honored to have in our midst our Assistant Fire Chief, Mike Dixon, fellow Havelock High School boy. What's up, Mike?
Morning.
Mike and I have known each other, I guess, a long time, even before the city of Havelock.
Yeah, we sure have.
And Mike, you've been with us at the city for, if we look chronologically, we were thinking maybe like 20 years chronologically, but you probably got, 15 years of service with the city of Havelock?
Definitely.
So you've done a lot in our fire EMS department.
Yes, sir.
We got Mike here today to talk about we just want to give you guys at home sort of a picture of what it's like in our fire EMS, and then we're making some changes to our shift and how we do what we do, and that's to be a little bit more efficient and give our fire and EMS folks a little bit more quality of life. So, Mike, you've seen it from every perspective. What's a day in the life right now today, before shift change or like the last few years? Our battle rhythm in Havelock is high. And we know that, very active. So give us what does that look like, Mike? What's a regular day for our dudes on the ambulance?
So normally, our shift starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. They come in, they getting the trucks ready for service, checking it, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be at, that they don't need to fix anything from the day before. And that's not just the fire trucks, that's the ambulances as well. They go through that in the morning, then most of the time they're going to clean the station up, make it presentable, because we technically are a public building. We want anybody that comes in our station to be proud that we take care of our stuff. Then they do training. They eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the station. They do get downtime. When they do downtime, most of our people are studying for some class or certification that they're taking. We have a lot of new guys that are in certification classes, finishing up either their fire certifications or working towards their paramedic. Paramedic being the top of the EMS food chain. A lot of guys know that that's what they want to do and that's what they're working towards. Then doing all that, at any point in time, the bell could go off and they could have a call. We're averaging anywhere from 10 to 12 calls a day. That doesn't sound like maybe a lot in a 24-hour period, but when you think that the two hospitals are both about 19 miles away from the middle of the city of Havelock, that causes, you're looking at least a half an hour drive to New Bern or to Moorhead, and then you got the turnaround with the patients. We have times where it takes 2 hours to get a truck back in service. One of the great things that we've done recently is we've upped our staffing level. So we still have people in the station to respond to the other things that are going on while the ambulances are out. And we do a lot more EMS, which is pretty much the normal for around the nation for combination fire departments like we have, where we do fire and EMS. I would say it's almost 80 to 85% EMS, and then 15 to 20% fire. And the fires range from anything from fire alarms to smoke investigations, to people burning when they're not supposed to be burning in their yards, doing all that. And EMS is anything from just somebody that's sick and wants to go to the hospital to people having the worst day of their life, maybe having a cardiac event or being in a vehicle accident. And unfortunately, around here, our vehicle accidents lead from anything to just a little bit of neck and back pain all the way up to the worst case scenario.
And so if you were to add up calls for the year, we're in the thousands of calls a year, right?
Yes, sir.
How many roughly?
I think right now we're close to 3,000 calls.
Right.
Probably more than that. That's just a ballpark figure.
And that's what I kind of wanted you to point out too, is 10 to 12 a day. You do some quick math, 365 days, because y'all don't get weekends. Like right. Every day is a day for y'all.
Exactly, 24/7.
Yeah, there are years we've pushed close to 4,000 calls.
Absolutely.
And so with only a couple of ambulances, and last few years we've staffed up, but we use mutual aid to kind of help, right? So yes, what does that look like? When we're out, we get a call, and by the way, district, right? We go all the way down to Harlem, all the way to into Adams Creek Road, right?
We have the largest district in the county, as far as I know. We go from the ranger station to the McCotter Boulevard, actually past McCotter Boulevard now, and then all the way from Lake Road to up 101 and down Adams Creek.
Which also adds time to that call. You get a call down on, let's say, Pritchard Road or something, and you got to make a run down there. It's 30 minutes to get there. You've got to handle the situation, 30 minutes to get back. And if you have to transport, add another hour and a half to that call, right?
And that's if it's not at FRC change or people going to school or just anything in general. Any type of added traffic just adds time to that.
And what do you do when so you got an ambulance down there, you got an ambulance at Lake Road, you're short, what happens then?
We call for our mutual aid friends. We utilize Cherry Point quite regularly. They're in our neighborhood, and they're one of our best mutual aid sources. We've used Newport. Actually, we've used Morehead City before in times of need, and we also go into James City and use 21 and all the departments that way.
And we do the same for them, right? We're
Absolutely.
on all those mutual aid agreements that we have set up go both ways, and so we responded. Matter of fact, when that church burned, when we had the fire issue right there in Newport a couple of weeks ago, our folks were out there fighting the fires and helping take care of the folks there, the same as they would have been if it had been in Havelock, right?
Yes, sir. And we were even able to protect the city while we were having people at the fire in Newport.
I think fire, which is great,
yes,
right? If we can assist and still do what we've got to do, I mean, that's the ideal.
That's the ultimate goal.
And I think fire EMS is one I use all the time to remind people that we'd love to just solve problems as a city by yourself, but it just doesn't work that way. And regionally, we are stronger. In their ways, I think we do it better than others. Fire EMS is one where I feel like it's such a historical partnership that we do a really good job of helping other folks and them helping us and understanding it's a regional thing to actually be protected.
Absolutely.
So what are we doing? You think, if I think about 10, 12 calls and I think about the shifts that these ladies and gentlemen are on and just burnout, right? And Havelock with 4,000 calls a year, 3,000 calls a year. Talk to us about this new shift structure that we're going to, which will alleviate a little bit of that and give people a little flexibility in their lives.
So currently we work a 24-48 schedule. When you work that 24-hour shift, and it's not every shift is like this, but we do get to sleep at night. But a lot of times that sleep's not the same sleep that you get at home. Sure. I mean, it's what I call paranoid sleep. You're waiting for something to happen. So these guys can go at any point in time because they're working through the night. A lot of times we will run 2 or 3 calls throughout the night. And they're just not getting rested. So their first day when they're off work is spent trying to rest, recuperate, and pick up the pieces of the day before. The 48-96 schedule, while it seems a lot for someone to work 48 hours, it allows us to give them a little more downtime during their shift because they can get a lot of stuff done on the first day and they can split up the daily tasks amongst 2 days. But they're also getting now 4 days off between those shifts. So they have a day where they can recuperate and still be with their family. That's one of the great things about that. I started working that when I was working at Morehead, and I had so much time at home to get things done. Whereas, normally you have 2 days and you're spending usually the first day off trying to recuperate. So now you're getting a day to recuperate and you've got 3 days to do whatever you need to do for yourself, which does a lot for your mental health and your family health.
Sure, and especially I would think even more so long term, right? That 24-48 cycle, if you're not getting the rest you need 6 months, 8 months, a year in, that's a whole different animal.
Absolutely. You're always either coming or going.
Mm-hmm. So this will give some quality of life. It'll make them sharper when they're on the job.
Absolutely.
If they've had that rest at home, that time with their family, they could be more focused on what they're doing when they're actually here and trying to help our citizens, as opposed to being worried about, I didn't get to see my family like this. And you're a family guy, so you know exactly what that's like.
Absolutely. I mean, it was one of the greatest shifts I ever worked. And I've worked the 24-72 when I started out in EMS, and that was a great shift also. But for the fire service, this one, it gives them, a lot of our guys, because we're a smaller department, help work on a lot of the things in the fire station. So working a 2-day shift gives them a chance to get more things done for the fire department. And they're giving to the fire department, they're giving to the community.
And so this might sound like a small thing to a lot of you who've never done fire and EMS, or maybe you haven't been a part of that. But these are the kinds of things that I feel like are big things when you talk about quality of life for our folks that work for us. We have 134 employees that the Board of Commissioners has to take care of. And then on top of that, it increases the level of service that you and your folks are able to provide to our community every day. And that's a big deal too. And a small tweak in the schedule, which the Board of Commissioners had to approve.
Right.
You guys came and presented it. I think we talked about it for a year before we were able to implement, just talking about what does that look like? What does that mean? Do we have the staff to do that? Because it takes a little more staff, right?
It does.
And so the board gave you a little bit more staff this past year and said, let's go to this new shift and give it a shot. And while it seems like such a small thing, and citizens might be like, why do you even talk about it? Because at the end of the day, over the next decade, that makes a massive difference in how we can take care of the community. And one thing I've learned about you, Tom, the chief, and all the folks over there that I've gotten to know over the years, you guys do what you do as a real calling, right? And I have an immense amount of respect for that, because you guys will talk. I'll talk about policy, and I'll be like, "Oh, we got to cut. We got to move this. We got this." And Tom's like, "Yeah, okay. As long as we can still save lives, as long as we can still." This is the phrase he uses a lot that reminds me. As long as we can still protect our families. Yep. And our families' friends, and the friends of our families, right?
Absolutely.
And that always resonates with me, because you guys are so focused on saving lives, so focused on making the community a better place. And if a small shift change thing makes it easier for you to also live your life and be more efficient, I think it's phenomenal. Let's talk about volunteers for a second, Mike. Okay. So you guys augment with volunteers, right? We have a volunteer service right now.
Our department started out as a volunteer organization.
Right.
It eventually worked up into a paid service, because that's how the times were. But we've maintained volunteers for the entire life of the department. Our fire chief right now started off as a volunteer here.
That's right. He sure did.
Yep, when he was in high school.
Yep, he sure did. And now I've watched we go through these waves of like you can't get volunteers, and then you get a lot of volunteers. Where are we at right now today?
Right now we're at our current limit.
Okay.
We have 10 positions, and we are full on that right now.
Awesome.
And that's fire and EMS, and EMS only.
Okay.
And the difference, too, with our volunteerism is that we treat our volunteers the same as the paid staff. They wear the same uniform that we do. They're required to do the same amount of work that we do, and we don't treat them any differently. And I think as a volunteer, I think that they appreciate that we give them a little bit of, service pride.
Training as well?
Absolutely.
Like they get the same level of training and all that?
Yep, and they're eligible to go to any certification class, just like our people are.
Do you see that a lot of those come from our military folks inside the gate, a lot of folks that come here and have already done it somewhere else and want to continue that service?
Yeah, we get a lot of guys that are maybe they were a junior fireman before they joined the Marine Corps, or they wanted to get some volunteer hours, so they came over to find out what it was like. And we took them on and we trained them. All of our fire volunteers are required to go through training, and we do in-house training for those guys. The state says that the fire chief can certify people to fight fire. Well, we didn't want them just to sign a piece of paper that says, yeah, you're good to go. We wanted to make sure that they could do the job and not get hurt.
Right. Well, if you're sitting at home and you're watching this podcast, Mike, if they're watching this, give us one thing that you love about being a fire EMS guy in Havelock. Like, what's your favorite thing?
The town supports us. That's one of the best things. We have the best firefighter paramedics, I would say, in Eastern North Carolina.
Agree.
And probably even farther than that. We have a very young crowd, and it makes me feel younger as I get older in years.
Right.
It makes me jealous of getting to see the things I get to do while I have to go work in the office now.
Yeah, right.
But no, I love the people. I love the community, and I think that's how our staff feels too.
Man, I would agree with that sentiment 100%. I get more compliments and positive comments from our citizens about fire EMS. And typically, when they have an interaction with you, unless they're at the Chili Fest National Night Out and they're just kind of like, oh, hey, look, we got a pretty truck and we want to go check it out, look inside the ambulance. But if they're having an interaction with you, it's probably a bad day for them. Chances are it's not a great day.
Right.
And they come out of that great day and they're like, man, these folks are professionals. One last question. We're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
And this is what everybody wants to know. How do y'all stay so calm? Like, there could be somebody in the room that's having an issue. you guys come in like a movie. You got your gurney, you got your bags, you got your equipment, and you are just like, do you train for that, Mike, or is that just time on the job?
It's a little bit of both. Always tell the new guys to act like a duck. Calm on the top, and whatever's going on inside your body, that's fine, but just keep it calm on the outside. We're going to someone's worst day. The more confidence we can exude, the more it gives them a little peace of mind, and maybe that even helps them. And one of the things that Chief is real big on is customer service. And I think that goes a long ways with it. We train and train and train to be the best we can possibly be when someone's having their worst day.
Well, it shows, man. Because I've had citizens say to me, how come they don't come running in, like breaking down the door when somebody is, I'm like, man, they have a responsibility. Number one, if you're not calm, you can't do your job.
Exactly.
And you've got to exude that confidence and that leadership. And, man, it's impressive to me every time I see it. And so, anyway, Mike, I'm glad you came on today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. I hope the citizens understand a little bit more about Fire EMS. And if y'all at home send a message and you want to know more about what they do, I mean, we could do a tour in the Bay. Absolutely. We could do a live reel or something, or a Mayor's Minute where we go through the Bay and kind of look in the ambulance, and you can see we didn't even talk about your state-of-the-art equipment and your capabilities as paramedics. We could sit here for the next hour. But I hope Mike's giving you a little bit of a picture of what the day is like, why we're making the changes we are, how that's going to help you as a citizen. If you got questions, we got an email, got a question, you can hit us up on that. You can catch me in Mayor's office hours on Mondays, swing by City Hall, give us a phone call. If you see Mike in Food Line, say hi.
Absolutely.
And
come by the stations.
Come by the station. If the doors are open, they'd love to talk to you guys.
Absolutely. We'll gladly show people around.
Outstanding. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.